Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You are here with Austin from Ohio, and today is Monday, May 17th, 2021. First, I would like to start off by thanking everybody that was at the live stream on Saturday, and it turned out really well. I know I said this in my video earlier today, but I'm not sure who all saw it, but if you were there, thank you very much. It's rather appreciated, of course. If you were not there, it's okay. I hope you caught it on replay, and I hope you can make it to the next one. I'm surprised that live stream is still up, actually, because, well, something I ended up showing in there and things we were talking about. For some reason, I get away with a lot more on a live stream than I would on a regular video like this one. Don't know why that is. Don't want to know why that is. Don't really care to know why that is, because the information is the most important thing. I will schedule the next one probably when I find out if I want to do it Friday or Saturday. I won't know until later in the week. I'm not quite sure yet. A lot of stuff going on, you guys. A lot of stuff going on. And this first one comes from Metro News. And this is U.S. Space Force scientist says military, quote, human augmentation is necessary in the next decade. Okay, so they're just coming out and admitting to augmenting the human body now. Okay, so there goes all of those people that were telling us that that's not possible or science fiction, what have you. Okay, now it's open knowledge. The chief scientist for the newly created U.S. Space Force has said he thinks human augmentation will be here sooner rather than later. Dr. Joel Moser, speaking at an event at the Air Force Research Laboratory, said that it is imperative that the U.S. outdo its adversaries by leading in human augmentation in military technology. Okay, so we always got to, come up with the old, we got to outdo our adversaries, guys, because Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, they're going to get there before we do, and we got to be number one. Number one, USA, number one. And you know what? The people are going to eat it up. Eat it up. In the last century, Western civilization transformed from an industrial-based society to an information-based society. But today we're on the brink of a new age. The age of human augmentation, said Moser. Kind of like, the fourth industrial revolution, where we are going to quote Klaus Schwab, merge our biological and technological capabilities to merge man with machine, the transhumanist agenda. I mean, come on. Quote, in our business of national defense, it is imperative that we embrace this new age, lest we fall behind our strategic competitors. And of course, we all know that all the countries work toward a single goal, of course, which is the creation of their long-sought world government. And now they're saying that we must embrace this new age of human augmentation. We must embrace it, guys. Oh, man. Moser, whose career has been spent largely with the U.S. Air Force deploying space flight technologies, warned that there would be unimaginable advances made over the next decade, citing the leaps in artificial intelligence that have already been made in programs like Google's AlphaGo. Here's where the AI comes in, and they're going to justify it to the people by saying, well, what this guy's already stated, that our adversaries will get there before we do. So we got to hurry up. The Space Force scientists added that AI could eventually develop military tactics and strategies that no human could, and eventually autonomous programs or machines could advise commanders in real time. Isn't that the point of artificial intelligence? Because artificial intelligence is self-aware. Artificial intelligence is its own being. It's its own mind. Yes, it was made by man, but it's still its own mind. The AI could eventually create programs that design lines of attack too complex for humans to understand. And a whole slew of other things that we should just stay away from, because we've all seen what can happen with this artificial intelligent technology, and it is not good for us. Like, these things can learn thousands of years of information in a millisecond. That's how fast these things can learn and take in information. And this, I believe, is the true intention of the, quote, Space Force, because, well, we all know the truth. Quote, this will extend to the battlefield, where commanders and decision makers will have at their disposal multiple autonomous agents, each able to control the execution of things like reconnaissance or fire control or attack, added Moser. Don't these people, the first things that they always make are for the battlefield? It has nothing to do with anything else except for war. That's where most of the money goes. That's where most of the resources go. He warned that we must think carefully about the ethics of this and how we will trust these autonomous agents, especially in an era of lethal autonomous warfare. Moving on to human augmentation, he suggested augmentation technology could eventually produce a superhuman workforce that used technologies like augmented reality, virtual reality, and nerve stimulation. You could put an individual into a state of flow where learning is optimized and retention is maximized, he said. This individual could be shaped into somebody with very high performing potential. The U.S. government has a long story of human experimentation for potential military applications. In the 1960s, the CIA ran a covert program named MKUltra, which sought to test the effects of drugs, torture, and esoteric psychological techniques on human subjects. Okay, so now they've just come out and admit to MKUltra. What world is this? These are things that were last year, quote, conspiracy theories. This year, they are being put forth by our so-called military leaders. This is an upside-down world. Oh, and look at this. There is no publicly available information suggesting the U.S. has attempted to augment humans in any systematic way so far. There's that doublespeak. This leads people to believe that, oh, they already said there's nothing on that. No, they said there is no publicly available information. Not saying that there's no information, just not information that's available to you or I. However, the Pentagon's research department, DARPA, has undertaken projects that look at human augmentation, such as a skin implant that can detect pathogens and neural mesh to link the human brain and computers. Meanwhile, Elon Musk's Neuralink attempts to make commercial brain-computer interface. The biotech company recently revealed it had successfully allowed a monkey to play Pong with its mind using one of their proprietary chips. Though critics pointed out that this had already been done decades earlier. So, apparently now they're just coming out and admitting to human augmentation, to the transhumanist agenda in the mainstream for military, and they are openly talking about fourth industrial revolution technology, merging man with machine. So you can literally see this playing out in real time. So there's that. Let's move on. Okay, I'm bringing this one up because I've had people try to tell me that Joe Biden or anyone in his administration or anybody within our government is not supporting this great reset. So they're admitting that it's a real thing, because I would convince them that it's real, of course. And then they would say things like our government would never do that. That's for other places. World Economic Forum and is not even here. It's in Davos and this and that, and you name it. You name it. So I'm going to bring this up because I'm at the point now to where I don't argue with anybody anymore. I just will reference them to one of my videos and I'll say there's what I have to say. I'm not going to say it over again. So, John Kerry, Davos, and the Great Reset. And this was published on my birthday. So, John Kerry, President-elect Joe Biden's special presidential envoy for climate appointees, speaks as Biden announces national security nominees and appointees at his transition headquarters in Wilmington, Delaware, November 24th, 2020. Last year, the World Economic Forum Davos announced that it was launching what it modestly referred to as the Great Reset Initiative. There's an urgent need for global stakeholders to cooperate in simultaneously managing the direct consequences of the situation. To improve the state of the World Economic Forum is starting the Great Reset Initiative. This guy says, as he wrote in October, even if we pass over the presumption of the reset's name, this is a small classic of the prose of soft authoritarianism. There is an urgent need that must be met. There is to be cooperation and management. The world is to be improved, and all of this is to be put in place by global stakeholders. And conveniently vague phrase with more than a suggestion of democracy bypassed about it. As Klaus Schwab, World Economic Forum's founder and executive chairman, has made clear, the Great Reset is nothing if not ambitious. I would say the world must act jointly and swiftly to revamp all aspects of our societies and economies, from education to social contracts and working conditions. Every country from the United States to China must participate, and every industry from oil and gas to tech must be transformed. In short, we need a great reset of capitalism. And as I've stated before, this is a great reset from capitalism. And whenever he says up here that every country from the United States to China must participate in every industry, so what he's saying is every country from the publicly known free United States and publicly known totalitarian China. So you have two ends of the spectrum there. We know in reality that both countries are basically the same and all of that, but you still talk to regular people on the street, they will have you believe that we still live in a free country and China is some authoritarian dictatorship with cameras everywhere. But then you point out the cameras that we have everywhere and they're like, oh, those are to catch speeders. Those aren't for anything like China's using. When they're literally using them for the same reason. The global surveillance state, well, the world surveillance state is just that. It's a worldwide surveillance state. Has nothing to do with any individual country. Individual governments set them up, but they all work together in the hive mind, right? Writing back in October, I wondered why, given the mess that so many governments had made of their response to the situation, it was capitalism that needed a reset. The reality, of course, is that the situation is just the latest excuse for Schwab to renew his long-standing campaign to replace free market capitalism with stakeholder capitalism. And we went over it before that, well, when I was talking about stakeholder capitalism and I broke it down, and we pretty much discovered that it is another name for fascism, but they just won't call it that in the modern day. Oh no, they'll call it stakeholder capitalism. You know, because it still has the word capitalism in it, but complete fascism is what it is. Stakeholder capitalism is, to put it too briefly, an expression of corporatism, an ideology that can be benign, as in post-war West Germany, or almost infinitely malign, as it was to varying degrees, an important part of fascist theory, if not always practiced in interwar years, and in countries such as Spain, Portugal, and Argentina for much longer still. In fact, contemporary China is, in many respects, closer to being a corporatist than a communist state. Under the circumstances, perhaps we should not be surprised that on Monday, China's Xi was an honored speaker at the virtual Davos being held this week. The Wall Street Journal reported that the Davos website effused that this was a historic opportunity for collaboration. To be fair, as I noted in October, the WEF has not come up with with its ideas in isolation. The World Economic Forum acts as an amplifier and supporter of the soft authoritarianism of the globalist governing class in waiting. And not always in waiting, but it is a part of that ecosystem, not its controller. And the Great Reset is both a product of Schwab's imagination and a summary of the corporatist ideas that have been floating around that class for a long time. From the focus on stakeholders to the often cranky environmentalism to rejection of shareholder primacy. Under the circumstances, this article in The Hill by Justin Haskins from December, I just saw it in a retweet, isn't entirely reassuring. At a panel discussion about the Great Reset hosted by the World Economic Forum in mid-November, former Secretary of State John Kerry, Biden's would-be special presidential envoy for climate, firmly declared that Biden administration will support the Great Reset, and that the Great Reset will happen with greater speed and greater intensity than a lot of people might imagine. So, sorry to make sure I was still recording. I don't trust this thing all the time. But, so right here, John Kerry said that the Biden administration will support the Great Reset, and it will happen with greater speed and greater intensity than a lot of people might imagine. Okay, fast forward to where we are now. They got a lot done in a short amount of time, did they not? And every day it's picking up more and more and more and more. So next time one of your friends or somebody who happens to buy into the left-right thing and they think that the world's all roses and fairies and rainbows and unicorns again because the red team's out and the blue team's in, refer them to this and say, look, well, first, smack them in the face with Klaus Schwab's book and say, there you go, there's a hard dose of the facts for you. Here's the manifesto right here. And then refer them to this, where John Kerry said that the president will support it. We never got the vote on any of this. They don't even talk about it on mainstream. When have you heard NBC, CNN, Fox News, CBS, whatever other ones there are? When have you ever heard them say anything about the Great Reset? They don't talk about it at all. At all. When asked by panel host Borge Brende whether the World Economic Forum and other Great Reset supporters are expecting too much too soon from the new president, or is he going to deliver first day on this topics? Kerry responded, the answer to your question is no, you're not expecting too much. And yes, the Great Reset, will happen. Kerry continued, I think it will happen with greater speed and greater intensity than a lot of people might imagine. In effect, citizens of the United States have just done a Great Reset. We've done a Great Reset, and it was a record level of voting. So see, they were trying to minimalize it by saying, guys, look, we already did one. We got out there and we voted the bad man out. And we put the good man in. So that's a Great Reset. No. The Great Reset is but a means to an end. Think of a Great Reset as like a door. Like the door to your house. The end goal is not to get up to the door and stand there. No, you want to go through the door and get into the house, right? The Great Reset is the door into this totalitarian New World Order that they've been wanting for generations. Kerry later argued that the Great Reset is necessary to slow the climate crisis, and that I know Joe Biden believes it's not enough to just rejoin Paris, the Paris Climate Accords, for the United States. It's not enough for us to do just the minimum of what Paris requires. Kerry is, of course, now our climate czar, a suitably autocratic nickname for a role that is likely to involve an agenda with more than a touch of authoritarianism about it. Interestingly, he is combining that job with a seat on the National Security Council. Gee, that's nice. And we have already seen via a series of pronouncements and executive orders that the Biden administration won't go far further than the Paris Climate Accords require. But it's worth also reading the next paragraph of Haskin's article. Kerry also said that because of the Great Reset movement, he believes we're at the dawn of an extremely exciting time, and that the greatest opportunity we have is to address social and economic problems is dealing with the climate crisis. Never let a climate crisis go to waste. So, the extremely exciting time for them, not for us. Of course, they're in an extremely excited time because they're going to be the new rulers of the new world. Well, these people are just pawns, but they're still going to have some, some say in what goes on, at least for a short period of time. And they are using the whole climate crisis, and think about this: problem, reaction, solution. They're creating the problem right now with the climate engineering. The reaction is, well, you got people out there chanting for climate change, and, well, not climate change. Like, we want to change what we're doing, and we got to restrict areas, and humans aren't supposed to be running around like we are, and we got to put people into cities and close them off, and nobody can go over there in that patch of weeds because we have to let nature grow. That type of thing. Yeah, so I literally just brought this up because I have people telling me that for some reason they say that Trump was the one forwarding the whole plan and Biden's not, and this and that, and they both were, of course, but they don't understand that. Trump got it set up for them to be able to do all this with little resistance, you see. It's just ridiculous. Let's move on. Here's an article that I found that is very interesting. And as you can already see, 1000% proof we are accepting a one world government. Not just, living in one almost. Well, pretty much. They just haven't told us about it yet, officially. But 1000% proof that we are accepting a one world government. Maybe not us, but the people in general. And if the majority of people are accepting it, then we have to live with it. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. Today, unknowingly, we have accepted global governance. This simply means that all the conspiracy theories that foretold about a one world government is now not only a proven fact, but accepted by the majority. That's a fact. That's more than a fact. That's like, hello, we told you so, but we're not here to brag because we have no time for that, and that only stifles our actual objective, which is to overcome this. Can't go on around saying I told you so, because you're going to make the people who you want to get on your side to not like you. This article will give you 1000% proof quicker than any other evidence you may have heard before that we are now accepting a one world government. It's now not a world that consists of many different independent nations with their own rules and laws, but a world consisting of many different nations under one governing international body that supersedes all independent countries' laws. This governing body, of course, being the United Nations. The masses have accepted this, maybe even you. Well, I hope not. And if you have accepted this and you're here on one of my videos, welcome. And I hope to maybe wake you up a little bit. Maybe slap you upside the head, make you hate me a little bit. That's alright, as long as you wake up, I really don't care. The worst and scariest part is that they have no clue that they accepted this. That reminds me of an old quote by, forget who it was. But he said, I forget who it was, but he said, the problem not only is that the people don't know, it's that they don't know that they don't know. And that is terrifying, actually, if you think about it. Now we can go through many different factors that will show you that one world government is not just some conspiracy. That's impossible. But the easiest thing to do is just break down one event that is currently marketed and accepted by the masses today. This event being generally agreed and accepted upon, but nevertheless the masses have no clue of the overall meaning. This event is the Global Citizens Festival being held at Central Park, New York on September 26, 2015, with performances by a list of artists such as Beyonce, Ed Sheeran, Pearl Jam, Coldplay. Now, do you guys remember that? You guys remember that Global Citizen concert? They actually recently just had one too. But I brought this up to show that they've been doing this for a while. And of course, they had all the big people there. This will be the 4th concert since 2012. What people believe, without doing any homework, is that because we all live in a world where we are all global citizens. Because we all share this earth, we are all citizens of it. But that would mean that we are all global citizens from the beginning of time, which has obviously not been the case. The term global citizen has only been generally known by the public for a couple decades at most. The question that needs to be asked to see the proof is, what actually is a global citizen? And I also brought this up because of what I showed you yesterday, the narrative that they're pushing, and they've been pushing for a while. The word global, of course, means relating to the whole world, worldwide. The word citizen, what exactly is a citizen? A person at first glance would think of a citizen as being one who is simply an inhabitant of a city, state, or country. More than just that, a citizen is a person who is an inhabitant of a city, state, or country who is entitled to the rights and protection of that city, state, or country. Also held legally responsible to follow the laws and regulations of that city, state, or country. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines a citizen as a member of a state and native or naturalized person who owes allegiance to a government and is entitled to protection from it. Yeah, so you give away all of your creator-endowed rights to a government, and in return they offer you security. It's the old way of taking rights away from people that still works. Somehow in the 21st century, that still works. I can offer you protection, security, and everything you could ever want. I only require that you get on your knees before me and obey my every command. That is where people like me say, there's only one person that I obey, and that is my King, the Lord God. I don't obey any man whatsoever. I am guided by my moral compass that was bestowed upon me by God. I know right from wrong. I know what to do and what not to do. I know not to infringe on anybody. I know not to hurt people. That's basically it. For example, whoever wrote this, I'm a citizen of New York City because I'm entitled to its rights they provide and bound by the laws of their jurisdiction. I'm a citizen of the state of New York because, once again, there's government with rights, laws, and legislation that I am bound to. The same thing goes for my citizenship with the United States. This is why illegal immigration in this country is such a big deal, because illegal immigrants are not citizens of the government structure, which does not provide them with the same access to our rights and accountability to our laws. We have never been global citizens because there has never been a government body recognized by the majority of the world that the majority of the world is governed by, that individuals can claim citizenship of. For instance, not that this would ever happen, but if we were to go out of space and speak to an alien in the past, we would have directed them back to our own country, not a body of world government, because one never existed. We have never recognized ourselves as global citizens because we have never recognized a world government. Now our lawmakers around the world do. Our presidents and their administrations may have, but the public as a whole has not. Over the past few years, we have been celebrating with our biggest stars like Beyonce, the fact that we are now global citizens. And if you guys remember the virtual concert that they did in 2020, it was the One World Together at Home concert, and had everybody there, all the big names of, all the propaganda tools that they use. And they literally tell you that they use these people to try to get you to do whatever they want you to do, which is why they're all out there publicly going and taking the miracle cure. And they hold concerts, and because many of us worship these stars, we simply say if they are for it, we are too. We have been under global governance for many decades. We have not fully accepted that ideology yet. Many of us still believe in a world dominated and run by the U.S., when that simply is not the case. All we need to do is understand that in order to be a citizen, there needs to be a government that you are a citizen of. The fact that we are celebrating being global citizens means that we now have a working global government. It's a simple reality based from the festival. And this is actually what they were also saying at the One World Together at Home concert thing. And if I remember after I'm done reading this, because I got something else I want to spend a decent amount of time on. Actually, the main part of this video. But we're not global people, global individuals. We are global citizens. The global government that we are subject to is the United Nations. The goals that we are accepting in September are called Sustainable Development Goals, which, if you remember, that's when the Pope came here and stood before Congress and basically said, here's Agenda 2030. This is what we need to do. You're going to sign up for it. And we did. We did. I remember when that happened, actually. I was very uneasy about all of that. And I told Reagan back then, I was like, he's here. He just announced the world government. And we're all just sitting around like it's no big deal. They are not understood by most people, yet they celebrate the overall headlines or statements like, reduce extreme poverty or empowering women because it sounds good. People reacting and celebrating headlines without having substance and details of information is very dangerous. You are a global citizen, and by the way, the masses are currently accepting these concerts and themes. The majority are very happy for this and invites it. We won't discuss if it is a good or bad thing, but it's that you understand that there is a world government that we are now citizens of. Those conspiracy theories about one world government have been right. Once you've understood that, it's important to recognize what the next part of those conspiracies you may have written off has been telling you about what's next. And that is the end of that. Now, let me show you the One World Together at Home thing before I get into what I really want to get into. Okay, now this is just the Google search of One World Together at Home. Check it out. One World Together at Home TV program. And there's their little symbol right there with the all-seeing eye out of the hands. And that's a Masonic hand gesture right there. And look who sponsored it. Global Citizen and WHO. One World Together at Home, also known as Together at Home, is a benefit concert that was organized by Global Citizen of New York City and curated by singer Lady Gaga in support of the World Health Organization. And you had all these people on here, blah, blah, blah. Global goal, unite for our future. And here's a bunch of celebrities that they had. Literally all the big names. All the big names. And you can literally go here and read all about this. If you're interested, then you can go ahead and go on here and look into this. Here, check it out. Look at all that. I remember watching this, and it was literally one big ritual, is what it was. One big ritual. And it was last April 18th, it looks like. But let's get into what I really want to get into. If you've made it this far, thank you. You've made it to the main part of the video. I found this, and I'm going to be spending a lot of time on this. Probably this video, next video, maybe the one after that, because there's a lot here. A lot. True Conspiracies, the Illuminati, and One World Government. Startling conspiracies and facts of the present time. Have we all been distracted and conned into doing the wrong thing? Solutions. There is great hope. Simple ways to make life much better. This is challengingly rare, controversial, and suppressed information, so it should be interesting and new to you. It provides you with the truth and much hope. This report also suggests simple ways in which you could be made to enjoy your life and work. These are simple solutions that would enable you to work for a more efficient and uncorrupted workforce. This could be a benefit to you and the whole of society. Knowing the cause of current problems will help us to avoid them and choose a wiser course. All right. Deceptions used to form a one-world government. A detailed summary of the big picture. And of course, we got the dollar bill and their satanic symbols. There's the Annuit Coeptis Novus Ordo Seclorum, which is like announcing the birth of the New World Order. That's literally what that means. There's been people that said it meant other things and this and that, but if you go back and listen to all the people that were telling us about this a long time ago, back in like the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, they were, like when this first came out, they were saying that's what it meant, because people back then could still speak a lick of Latin. Okay, this is a summary of the full report, so you can read about a lot of facts in a small amount of time. It contains many totally different points, so it's important to read it all. It leads to other pages which have more detail, which are also well worth reading, as they will make things more clear and convincing. References are given to the sources of these conspiracies on the websites, where you will find more information. This is why I'm going to have to spend a ridiculous amount of time on this. Because, well, you'll see. You'll see. An evil group of men has always wanted to rule the entire world. In the past, conquest has failed to achieve this, due to the resulting outrage and awareness of the enemy. In our present time, an evil group are trying a subtle but effective way to rule. This is to gradually infiltrate and delude the masses into accepting their ideas. Such subtle gradualism, along with distraction, such as unnecessary work, study, entertainment, and sport, is being used effectively. Few people will therefore be aware of what's going on. We are those few people that know what's going on. And I'm really not sure how many of us there are. If you take into consideration all of us from all across the entire internet, or just in general, not just people on YouTube or what have you, just in general, there might be a couple 100,000 of us at best. Which in turn would actually be enough if you think about it, but the problem is we're all spread out and nobody is offering any solutions to come together. I don't have a big enough channel, or I would. Most definitely I would. We need to do something. The powerful conspirators are made up largely of the international bankers and the Illuminati, which is a super rich organization which controls the mainstream media, workforce, education system, companies, banks, energy supplies, and governments. They are controlled by the richest people in the world, such as the super rich Rothschild and Rockefeller families. They also hide behind many organizations, such as the United Nations, the World Trade Organization, Council on Foreign Relations. There is also a Jesuit-Vatican connection, planning the merging of many faiths into the apostate One World Church, which will serve Satan. The New Age movements are also part of the plan. Yeah, that's literally 100% true. That's the only point of the Roman Catholic Church, the Jesuits, you name it. And of course, Washington, D.C. is like the military, world police arm. And London is, of course, the finance portion. So, which is why each city, coincidentally, and I'm using that word as a mockery, coincidentally, has a, quote, Washington monument, which is actually the phallus of Osiris, if you know anything about that. To gain full control of the world's money would mean full control over everyone, especially those in debt. This is exactly what the international bankers' conspiracy is doing. Every government is in debt to them. This debt is increasing. Personal debt is very widespread and increasing. Hence, almost everyone is in debt. Wasteful spending, borrowing, and debt are encouraged. Therefore, people and governments are becoming increasingly in the bankers' control, as they have to pay interest which the bankers can manipulate to their will. You ever notice how some of the richest people that you might know, like maybe in your area or people that you know of, that aren't like at the top of the structure like these people are, they're the most in debt. When somebody tells me, oh yeah, I got a $800,000 house and $400,000 car, I'm like, how much debt are you in? Oh well, a couple million, but it's all right. I still got all this stuff. The stuff is not yours at all. If you're in debt, you have no property. That's the point. And the World Debt Reset Program that they're getting ready to, unveil with the UBI and all that stuff, they're going to say, we will forgive your debt, individual and countrywide, if you just, give up all your ownership of property. How else do you think by 2030 are they going to get people to own nothing and be happy, right? Governments are forced to sell assets, lose sovereignty, and place citizens in poverty to repay their debt. The conspirators are privatizing, buying, and controlling government assets. The conspirators bribe governments with political donations. They gain ownership of land through World Heritage, which is then mismanaged and restricted. That's true. Still haven't showed you guys that sign yet. I want to go out there one day and show you the penalty for being on that land. And then I'm going to step on it and say, oop, breaking the law. Oh, now I'm not. Oh, breaking the law. Now I'm not. Things that prove a trend toward one world government include a rising amount of globalization, free trade, privatization, foreign investment, mergers, international organizations, debt, international problems that need an international solution, and peace agreements that give false security. Perhaps the greatest conspiracy is to distract us from the truth, so that we will lose money and property to the powerful conspirators, who corruptly monopolize wealth and power and gain more power as a result. Instead of using most of our time or money to fight the powerful by learning and sharing the truth, we are deceived into trying to keep and make more money than we really need, so that we will lose it to the powerful. People have been doing that now for lifespans and lifespans and lifespans. What do your parents tell you? And what does the school tell you? What is the status quo of doing good in life, right? Oh, you got to go out and you got to chase money. You got to get all this money so you can have all these nice things and you're doing good in life. I would say that even if somebody had absolutely nothing and was living under a bridge, but had personal connection with God and family and friends, I would say that they are doing well in life and they have no possessions. Pretty sure when our Lord walked the earth, he had no possessions either. Could be wrong about that, but I'm not, so check it out. A common control measure is to deceive the majority that the purpose of life is to spend most of your time to make money and spend it on unnecessary things. The conspirators deceive people that making excessive money is easy and profitable, despite the fact that the majority of small businesses go bankrupt. Suitable paid work is very hard to find. Searching and applying for it costs money and time. Therefore, the conspirators profit from people's waste and bankruptcies. Instead of encouraging volunteer work and encouraging people to freely help and serve each other, their motto is either make excess money for yourself or spend all your time trying to find something that will make excessive money for yourself. The term make money is deceptive. Unless you are a bank or a mint, it is illegal to create money. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep. And it shouldn't be illegal to create wealth because, well, humans are the ones who decided to say that something had wealth. So just because these people said that our little paper currency, soon to be digital cryptocurrency, they said that that was wealth. having a piece of paper, or however many pieces of paper, right? For you to gain money, it has to come from somewhere to the disadvantage of someone else. This could be from the government, if you are a public servant, as wages from a poor small business manager, or charges to a poor person, or taken from a company, which causes that company to charge higher costs to poor people. But if you use your money and time for God's will, you are not guilty of disadvantaging others. Conspirators have highly infiltrated the corrupt mainstream workforce, including public service, which often forces people to teach and use bad practices when better methods are available. People are doing unnecessary work. Many jobs, products, and services are unnecessary and corrupt, and hence corrupt the people who are involved with them. The conspirators have shares in and therefore control many companies and organizations whose staff would be fired if they did not obey the terms of the corrupt system. Charging money for something suppresses the material or service by restricting or deterring people from using it. A very small percentage will buy something as opposed to using it for free, because it's unaffordable for most of the world's population, requires carrying money or having credit cards, and wastes time for bookwork and transactions. Also, it discriminates against the needy. Instead, people who can afford it should offer to donate, even if they are not asked for money. Would you be reading this information if you initially had to pay for it? Would you? I don't think so. The powerful aim is to destroy small business and disadvantaged citizens by sending them bankrupt. They then claim their property and money. What happened all of 2020, right at the beginning? Biggest wealth transfer in the history of the world. The world has never seen a wealth transfer like the beginning of 2020. What else happened? How many small businesses went under? I personally know of 5 in my area that went under. I feel very bad for those people. These one people down in, excuse me, over in West Virginia, down the river a little bit. They ran like a restaurant that was like a theme restaurant. You would like make reservations, call ahead, and they would put on like a horror theme or like a romantic fairy tale theme or something like that. And they actually got a lot of business pre-situation. They were literally on social media begging people to help them pay off their bills to keep their building. And their lenders wouldn't help them at all because, the situation. And they had to go under, and I felt really bad for them. And a lot of people really liked that place because they had good food, and you'd go there to have a good time, double dates and stuff. It was just an all-around good place to be. Well, they went under. I feel very bad for them. Very, very bad for those poor people. The banks and multinationals may eventually merge together, then merge with the one world government, who will make sure almost no small businesses are left to bypass their system. Probably almost the only ones selling will be multinationals controlled by the one world government. Therefore, everyone will be forced to rely on a monopoly, which will have complete control over everyone. We're pretty much there. I'd say after this whole thing, we'll be there. Especially once they get their way. We ain't doing nothing about it. Nothing about it. In countries with above average costs and wages, it's better to reduce costs because wages rise. Wage rises increase cost, inflation, interest rates, small business, bankruptcies, and unemployment. Exports are reduced. Wage rises take money away from small business pensioners, unpaid volunteers, and carers who often work hard for no pay. Although trade unions are correct in some ways, they still support destructive and selfish policies that cause unemployment, destroy the poor, and destroy the economy. Instead of enabling small businesses to produce products much cheaper, the government imports identical products to those produced locally. The importing of foreign imports from multinationals is destroying local producers and giving more power to the conspirators. This is also spreading disease. Competition and free trade is an advantage for the wealthy and powerful. There's a deception that we need serious competition to have fun, keep prices down, have a large variety of goods and services. However, the opposite is happening, and powerful, corrupt companies with redundant products are taking advantage of and destroying honest innovators and small businesses with good products and services. How true is that? This is resulting in a smaller variety of and poorer quality goods and services. Deregulation enables multinationals to get products much cheaper than small businesses at the poor primary producer's expense. Multinationals raise prices higher than the small businesses did before they were annihilated. God's way is rightfully regulated fair and go for everyone, where everyone is well off. Competition encourages many outlets to sell the same things, which causes confusion to shoppers. If one succeeds in a career or enterprise to make money, they prevent someone else from succeeding under such a competitive environment of limited opportunities. As in, once they take that avenue to get rich, they close the door behind them. Boom, sorry, nobody else can do it. It's mine. You can't have any. Then they get a big paycheck from the world government. There can be pride if you win and distraction from doing God's will. Anger, disappointment, envy, regret, and resentment may result when you lose. Many of the conspirators' products are deliberately made, not to last so that customers will be distracted with problems and buy more products or parts. Multinationals suppress inventions and discoveries so that the world is forced to rely on their redundant, wasteful, costly, and addictive products that bring them great profit. Only approximately 0.1% of inventors make a living from their inventions. Patents cost money and expire. Little support for inventors means almost all revolutionary inventions, including free energy devices and natural medical cures, have been suppressed. The conspirators control the price of energy and essential products and services, despite the fact that there are much more efficient but suppressed methods available. Such a plan means it is logical that the system does not support people without power or money, who have good ideas and the potential to make the world a better place. Doing so would mean a transfer of wealth and power away from the conspirators and into the hands of those who wish to do good. Increasing numbers of people are controlled by the government as they are forced to rely on welfare. How true is that in 2021? Consumption taxes will only hurt the poor, increase costs, and destroy small businesses. There are too many taxes. The cost of complying with and enforcing taxation is therefore a major problem, which is draining the economy. International laws appear good, but are deceptively introduced to give the powerful more power. If countries don't accept the condition, they are given sanctions or leaders are brought down. This is why the whole Trump thing was not as it seemed. He was not a monkey wrench thrown into the cogs of the New World Order. No, he was a very integral part of bringing that order to life. Peace agreements and common ties between countries have some benefit, but give the world a false sense of security and tie countries together ready for a one-world government. Disarmament gives more power to the powerful and less arms for citizens to resist them. The goal of the world government is to remove the weapons of honest citizens so they can more easily persecute and exterminate anyone who resists their control. Again, that is the point of taking people's firearms. Good people, we've been through this. This is something I feel very strongly about because of things like this. You ever see a lion tear up a gazelle? No problem, right? No problem. Gazelle has no defense against the lion. You ever see a lion go up to a porcupine, and a porcupine sticks its spikes out and rolls up in a ball, and that lion just sits there and stares at it and eventually runs away? Yeah. It's the natural order of things. every animal has a defense mechanism equal to that of the predator. And as humans, we have the ability with a conscious mind and opposable thumbs and just the way that we are in general to make weapons for our defense and to resist anyone who dare would try to harm us or our families or our neighbors. That was the point of the Second Amendment in general. And the Second Amendment, I'd always have to tell people, I always have to argue with them, sort of, because they're like, oh, the Second Amendment, it doesn't apply to modern technology. And I'm like, stop right there. The technology of the firearm is irrelevant. Same as all the other amendments. The first 10 at least. It restricts the government, has nothing to do with giving you anything. It just says that the government cannot get involved to your right to have whatever you want. Say whatever you want. Practice whatever religion you want. Openly oppose the government. The whole Constitution is literally a restriction of the government. Why do you think they spend so much time trying to get people to turn their minds, attitudes, and beliefs against one's individual's right to own firearms? And people in other countries are always like, oh, we got rid of firearms here and we don't have any gun crime. First of all, yes, you do. Or they'll say, oh, our government hasn't come down and exterminated us. And I would say, you obviously have not read Types of Disarmament by the United Nations, General Disarmament in a Peaceful World, where it says that they have to take all conventional weapons, which is how they're defined in those documents, before they can institute their agendas on any country. Otherwise, we would see that in the United States and be like, whoa, we're not giving up our weapons. Look what they just did in Australia. Make sense? I hope so. Foreign aid is mostly only transferred to the hands of the rich and powerful to gain more power and exploit the poor. The stock market is overvalued and rigged. People are deceived into investing in banks and multinationals. A crash will give the citizens property to the powerful. Boom and bust cycles, market fluctuations, and stock market crashes are deliberately caused so that people lose money to the conspirators. Christmas and Easter have lost their true meaning. Unnecessary spending helps the powerful. UFOs are probably man-made craft which may be used to fool the world into accepting the one world government. They are secretly hidden and tested at military bases. As you can see, this site that I found is all true. Otherwise, they would be pushing the crap UFO alien narrative. There are no space aliens. Only interdimensional beings. Everything exists on a frequency. Same as your radio. You tune into a radio station, tune into that frequency. Like, for instance, in my area, the rock station is 107.5 gigahertz or megahertz or whatever. You will only get that station. But if you turn to like classic, or no, not classic, like the modern garbage pop, which would be like 95.7, that's a different frequency, but you're in the same area. All frequencies exist in the same plane. That's the way things work. Banks create money from nothing and demand it back, together with unnecessarily high interest. They encourage waste of money so they can profit from the interest. The conspirators deliberately create problems such as wars, market depressions, and other crises. This is so that they can control, confuse, distract the people, and also benefit from the interest on the money they lend to fund and then to stop these crises. Also, it is so that the world will accept their solutions, which are really only steps toward their plan and more of their control. Problem, reaction, solution, right? Sources give strong proof that the conspirators have funded both sides of most of the wars in the last 200 years, including the world wars. Their members are in our governments, and often from foreign presidents of various countries. Therefore, the conspirators control the world's governments. The conspirators can control the weather for biological warfare. They are deliberately ruining the environment to gain more control. We know that. The conspirators mix truth with evil to slowly seduce the masses into their hands. Like pawns in a game, many people are helping and working for the conspirators without even knowing this. People even unintentionally deceive their family members. To achieve their plans, they aim to destroy existing governments, private property, religion, and sovereignty so that they control everything. Many diseases, foods, medicines are deliberately made to weaken and control people. Starvation, death, and poverty deliberately caused to billions of people will also give the powerful greater control. Genetic engineering gives multinationals more power over food, crops, seed collecting, and farmers. Corrupting and weakening the population will make it easier for the conspirators to get the people to accept their conditions. Ways this is done include media propaganda, promotion of violence and sex, bad education, and drugs. Think about that. Sex, violence, bad education, drugs. What are the youth, including people my age, what are they all focused on? As I've said before, people my age are going around looking for 100 different sexual partners any given night. Going around getting in street fights. Have really bad education and do a whole bunch of drugs. That's literally how you would define the modern youth. If somebody asked me to define the modern youth, I would say violence, sex, bad education, drugs. Unnecessary paperwork, duplication, and excessive questions in documents cause time and money to be wasted. Inconsistency causes confusion. Standards vary so much in different places. Government policies are advised by unelected bureaucrats linked to and influenced by the powerful. Newly elected members of the parliament are lectured that they must vote as the party dictates. To protect their interests, the media often give no publicity or bad publicity to those ideas or good parties. The reason why so many people are not aware of these things is that the conspirators control all the main media and education system. Here's the best one. Bible prophecies are known to be 100% accurate. The Bible predicts that the beast or Antichrist will fool the elect of many religions, that he is God by doing miracles and promising peace. He will break his peace agreement, totally rule the world, and bring widespread persecution. He will force everyone to worship him and accept the satanic mark on their right hand or forehead in order to buy or sell. This will probably be an embedded computer chip. Or what we have nowadays. It will be better to die and be with Christ instead of taking the mark and worshiping the satanic beast, which will cause you to be eternally separated from Christ. There is strong evidence that the conspirators have well planned this system of a satanic one-world government. Government statistics deceive people into thinking that things are going better than they are. Something must be wrong when approximately 90% of the world's population are worse off financially than the average pensioner. 95% of small businesses make loss, and 1/3 of the world's population go to bed hungry. In wealthy countries, real unemployment is about 20%, with sometimes 16 unemployed people for every job vacancy. I believe that. Wealth distribution is totally corrupt because the hardest working, most honest, hardworking, ambitious, intelligent, and innovative Christian people may be poor, while lazy and corrupt people may be rich. Please see the evidence ad, and then there's a source. And we'll dig into all this in like the next couple videos. This is just like a summary of the whole thing. But I plan on digging into this, so History books controlled by the conspirators do not tell the full truth on why many events happened. Many facts are suppressed. Yes, because history is written by the winners, correct? The justice system is corrupt and unfair with or delayed trials, high cost duplication, and retrials advantage the rich. Conflicts of interest and defamation laws suppress corruption. The solution is the biblical principle practiced by the apostles, which is very rarely seen today. They did not desire money or work for the corrupt mainstream system, but worked hard doing God's will. They shared and did not spend money or time on unnecessary things. The solution is that we could form a highly efficient group. People could work from their own homes in their own time, which would be more efficient and less stressful. We could search for and communicate with people who have suppressed technologies, which are better than those publicly available. We could benefit from their technologies, and they may even join our group. A group that shares and is free of corruption would mean that other people would want to give back and help in return. This would be far better than the current mainstream system of charging dollars for almost everything, which suppresses products and causes greed and poverty and is inefficient, as explained earlier. Avoid buying from or investing in multinationals or banks. Instead, invest in a better system, which will help you and others. You could help honest small innovators. Lending money to true Christian charities or ministries is a good idea, as you could reclaim your savings in the future for another godly purpose. Also, your money will be used for godly purposes. A genuine Christian group will want to help you if you are in need. This is better than hoarding unused money in a corrupt bank or company where it is likely that you will lose your life savings. And in 1 Timothy 6-10, for the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. We need people to reveal the truth to those who are uninformed and search for those with similar interests. Quality goods and services are needed, but they take time to find among the counterfeits. Although the internet does help, this will only be achieved people like you change from working for the corrupt mainstream system to a more efficient, enjoyable system. Many people who work for the corrupt system are honest, intelligent people who work hard. They would change the world if they worked for a better system. That's true. You know how many good people out there are just being pushed down by this system of work and work and work and work and work until you die? People could continue in a similar occupation. For example, a teacher could leave the mainstream system to work for a Christian school. A scientist could research the best methods available instead of something that would bring a satanic conspirator's profit. A health worker could start researching and using suppressed cures instead of using the mainstream system of dangerous drugs or methods. Now, I want to add something to this also. I believe in our founding documents. I believe in freedom of religion, though I am a believer in the Bible. I'm a believer in Christ, Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Messiah, of course. But I also believe in people's right to worship at the altar of their choosing. In my group, if I had a group like this, all religions would be welcome. Of course, all types of people would be welcome, as long as we abided by the same principles and didn't hurt anybody or want to consolidate power. A member of parliament could change from being part of a mainstream political party to become an independent. Meteorologists could start an internet network of home-based weather stations, sky cameras, and forecasters that would give much more information efficiently and reliability than the Weather Bureau. And this guy says he's trying to do this. People could leave mainstream education. Instead, they could study something that they will use and want to learn. Imagine how much less stress, bad company, overwork, workplace bullying, and unhappiness there would be. And it says we need to do God's will, which clearly says not to yoke with evil or be part of the corrupt world system. Maybe then we will see the great joy and healings in people who are coming to God. And I want to read the rest of this, but I'm short on time. So I will stop here for now. But look at all that reading we did. This is a page I got to before. But if I go back, maybe it'll take me to where I was. Yeah, here's the main page of this. Look at all of that we're going to go through. And I plan on going through a lot of this. So, yeah. We'll stop it here for today, guys. Because I need to get in the house. I hope you guys learned something. I learned a couple things, as always. Let's pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not unto temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen.